say, how are you all this day of your time as you create time to exist? Are you all alive? How are you all this day of your time? Well, we thank you very much. And we extend to you, first of all, our deepest appreciation for allowing us to communicate with you in this way at this time. We thank you for choosing to be ambassadors and representatives of your society. We thank you for allowing me to be a representative of our collective civilizations, which we term the Association of Worlds. We thank you for your part in the co-creation of this endeavor, for every single event of this nature makes a difference in your society and our society throughout the entirety of what you may call in your language the universe. We thank you very much for allowing us to catch what we may call a glimpse of your consciousness, a gift, as we perceive each and every being in the universe to be a gift. We thank you for allowing us to unwrap yet further a little bit more of your consciousness, to share in its delights. You are a gift to us. We thank you for allowing us at this time to reflect to you those aspects, those attributes, those qualities we know exist within all beings in creation, the beingness of living light within you, within your soul, within your spirit, within your heart of hearts. Your willingness to discover your connection to the infinite gives us joy. And the fact that you are willing to allow us to participate in that discovery gives us joy as well. Let us remind each and every one of you, individually and collectively, that the ideas and the concepts that we are now discussing with you this day of your time are not for the purpose of trying to change you. In no way, shape, or form do we have any intention of giving you the impression that our ideas and our points of view and our belief systems are in any way better than yours. They are simply different. You may find that our civilization may have, to some degree, a little bit more of an expanded point of view. We may, in our own evolution, in our own history, have been able to arrive at a place where our understanding sees a little bit more of the idea of the universe than your past history has allowed you to see. But in no way, shape, or form does this make us any better than you, nor in any way, shape, or form does it make you any less. This is of primary importance to understand. We desire to form a relationship with you wherein all individuals are equal. For that, and only that relationship, can allow us to expand and grow and learn and share together, so that we may add to the overall understanding of all that is the infinite creation. We, in turn, also would like to remind each and every one of you that the concepts that you may learn today, that we may discuss today, are also in no way, shape, or form intended for you to use to try and change anyone else. Every single individual deserves the belief system that they desire. And when it comes time for an individual or a society to change that belief system, then they will do so, but only in their own good timing. If any individuals in your society are going to change, the easiest way for anyone to change the society in which they live is to be a living example of that change, to simply be a reflection and a mirror of that change, so that other individuals, by observing that attitude and that bright light shining from within you, can then be given an opportunity to see an example of what kind of a reality you could have upon your planet. A place where peace and love and light are what you may call the norm of the situation rather than the exception to the rule. But only by being that living example do you give them an opportunity to understand that there are other ways to live, other than the idea of the struggling and the striving and the warfare and the conflict and the dis-ease and pain and suffering that your civilization has experienced for many thousands of your years. You cannot force the idea of well-being on someone else, for that is contradictory to the idea of well-being. You must cherish and validate unequivocally and unconditionally every single being within creation, to allow them to be precisely who and what they have chosen to be. And in validating them as an equal and in acting as a reflection of what they could choose, then you are giving them an opportunity to know that they are equal to you. You are giving them an opportunity to exercise their judgment, their discernment, their ability to choose what they wish to choose. And you are giving them the free will and the free power and the self-empowerment to be able to do so, because they will know that you are not trying to change them. they will understand that you respect what they are. And in respecting what they are, they will then give you the consideration of listening to what you have to say, as long as they understand that you do not believe that what you have to say is any more important than what it is they have to share as well. We would simply remind you of this first and foremost before we begin, for we wish you to understand deeply that what we are doing at this time in your civilization by interacting with it is not for the purpose of trying to change it, but only for the purpose of reminding your civilization and the individuals within it who and what they have always been, aspects of the infinite, and that they can create any type of reality they so desire, any type of reality whatsoever. It is completely in your control, completely in your hands, and it is a very, very simple thing to do. This is what we are here to remind you at this time. Every single individual who understands that you are in charge, shall we say, of your own reality, that you can create your reality to be the way you want it to be, every single individual who understands that has an infinite impact upon the entirety of not only your own civilization, but of the universe. For each and every individual that recognizes themselves as an aspect, as an extension of the infinite, allows the infinite to operate that much more smoothly, shall we say, that much more positively, and accelerate in that positive direction, creating a momentum, creating a flow, creating an atmosphere in which other individuals then will find it easier to change their reality to be what they prefer it to be, rather than living a reality that they have been taught to believe is the only reality they can live, a reality that they must live, a reality that they must suffer through, just because they have never been taught that there is any other way. Well, there are an infinite number of ways. If there was not more than one way, there would not be more than one person in existence. Look around. You are surrounded by an infinite number of individuals throughout the universe. Each and every individual is one more way that the infinite creation has of expressing the self that it is. One more point of view that it has of looking at itself and understanding itself within the creation it has created itself to be. All points of view in that sense are valid as points of view. You have the capacity, and always have had and always shall have the capacity to choose the reality that you prefer to live, representative of who it is you know you are, what is in your terms the truth for you. The idea, in a sense, is to understand that the so-called the truth is composed of all truths. All realities are real in that sense. All imagination is somewhere, somehow, somewhen a real reality, because you are not created to be capable of conceiving of non-existence. Anything you imagine, though it may not necessarily be immediately applicable in your particular physical dimension, nonetheless, anything you imagine is, on some level, in some dimension, in some reality, somewhere, somewhen, a real reality, because you cannot imagine non-existence. And anything you can conceive of is somewhere within the mind of creation, and therefore exists as its own reality. It has its own level of self-awareness, its own experiences, its own fulfillment, its own path. This day of your time, we will discuss certain aspects of the path that your civilization has taken, certain aspects of what you, as members of your society, have created yourselves to be. We will explore some of the definitions that make up your society, and we will explore the range of possible changes that can occur that you may prefer to create in your society so that you can have the reality you desire to have, without effort, without struggle, without strife, and without having to hurt anyone else or yourself in order to create that reality, because that is how powerful you are. We, as a civilization, believe in you utterly. No matter what you may choose at any given moment to think of yourselves, we believe in you utterly. We know you are aspects of the creation. It is not a matter of having to believe it. It is not a matter of taking it, as you say, on faith. We know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you are capable of creating any reality you desire. We know it for a fact. And it is with that level of conviction that we discuss these ideas with you today, knowing that if you are willing to apply the ideas in your own way and in your own good time, you will have the impact you want, and you will make the changes that you desire. It is as plain and simple as that. All the things that we are discussing are not simply what you would call philosophies. We are talking mechanics. We are talking physics. We are talking action and reaction, cause and effect. If you apply certain ideas in your life, the principles by which you have always created your reality, whether you knew it or not, you will get the result that you desire. One of the key reasons that you have been able to create a reality, one of the key reasons that you have existed within a universe that seems to be separate from you, one of the key reasons you seem to have lives that happen to you instead of through you, is because you have created the ability to forget that you are a part of creation. You have created out of your own fears and out of your own convenience, and I do not mean this derogatorily, the concept that you call an unconscious mind. No one really has an unconscious mind. You are one unbroken, homogeneous consciousness. One single idea. The concept that you call an unconscious mind has become a convenient compartment into which you can place things that you have been taught to be afraid to look at about yourselves. But there is absolutely nothing about yourselves that you could ever discover that cannot be applied in a positive way if you so say. Therefore, one of the understandings that you can now begin to have, and perhaps will grow to understand through this interaction today, is that much of the reality that you experience is the product of what you believe it to be on an unconscious level. In other words, your strongest fears, your strongest emotions, your strongest definitions, your strongest beliefs are what create your physical experiential reality, are what are the reasons that attract certain situations and opportunities to you. If you are creating your reality mostly unconsciously, then you are out of touch as to why certain things keep happening in your life. But if you begin to understand that you can create your reality consciously, if you can be consciously aware of the definitions you may have been brought up with that have created the reality you've gotten so far, and you can learn how to change those definitions in the way that you prefer to, then you can get the reality you prefer, and it is not difficult at all, I promise. If you find that it becomes difficult, it is the result of other belief systems that you have bought into that say that life must be difficult. For those are belief systems. The idea that any change must be difficult is not in any way, shape, or form a law of the universe. It is a belief system. It is a definition. And it is germane perhaps to your society and a few other societies that we have encountered, but it is not, as you say, chiseled in stone. It is completely changeable. It is up to you. One of the things that your society is now beginning to understand in this exploration of consciousness in your so-called new age of awareness is that your consciousness is far more than many of you have been taught to believe that it is. You are beginning to understand that you are truly an expanded being. In a sense, to put this colloquially in your own language, you are first and foremost a non-physical, total consciousness. The idea of what you refer to as yourselves as an isolated physiological being, that physical beingness, this personality that you are, this persona that you are, is one extension of the total being that you are. One isolated experience of the total awareness that you are. It is, to use an analogy, but one finger on the hand of the total soul that you are. Each and every life you have, past, present, future, alternate dimension, no matter what you wish to label it, is but one aspect, one facet of a multidimensional crystal that is your consciousness. This brings us to the first phase of this particular interaction, which we have entitled Persona Reconstruction. Now, the term Persona Reconstruction in and of itself implies a few things, which we will now endeavor to at least supply some definitions for. First of all, the term reconstruction implies that your personality is a construction to begin with. that what you call your persona, your day-to-day personality, the person that you are, is, in a sense, an artificial construct of the soul. Now, by saying artificial, we do not mean in any way, shape, or form to imply that it is not natural. But we use your term artificial to allow you to understand that it is a construct, nonetheless, that it is a face, a mask, a facade, a temporary representative of an idea you have decided to express. Each and every time you change the idea that you wish to express, your persona, the person that you are, your personality undergoes radical shifts. And you find yourself acting like a completely different being. Now, some of you may say, well, but I look the same, more or less, although you will find from time to time, and as many of you may realize, that when you change enough, even other individuals who have recognized you for a long period of time may walk up to you and say, you know, I don't know what it is, I almost didn't recognize you, you look a little different today. Well, I feel different, you may say. I feel very different. And so it is really no surprise that you almost did not recognize me. I must imagine that I look quite different. Well, understand something. Understand something now very, very critically and very importantly. And you may, and I mean it, you may take me absolutely literally in what I am about to say. I am not concocting an analogy. This is not a metaphor. I am being extremely literal. When you change the idea that you are, when you change the persona that you are in any way, shape, or form, you are, from that moment forward until you make the next change, literally not the same person you were before at all. At all. At all. You may seem, I underline that word many times, you may seem to retain traits of the old you, which may allow you to think that you're still the old you with a few changes. But any illusion of continuity is your creation. Anything you carry over, so to speak, from the old you has been recreated in the new one because for some reason you believe it must be continued. You are an absolutely new creation at that moment, an absolutely new, artificially constructed personality, a new extension of the soul. No matter how you think you look, whether you think you look the same or not, you are not the same person. Generally speaking, in your society, one of the reasons that you tend to look the same from moment to moment, more often than not, and change slowly over a long period of time, is because of your focus in physical reality. Because time itself is the result of simply your focus of consciousness. It is only a side effect. Time itself does not exist as a principle. It is a side effect of your focus, of your belief systems within physical consciousness, expressiveness. The idea in and of itself does not have to remain. You can change as quickly in any way, shape, or form as you desire to, if the desire and if the belief is strong enough. That is where what you call miracles come in. But you see, miracles are not really the exception to the rule. Miracles are the natural order of things. The idea of slow change, of painful change, of struggle and change, of difficult change, that is actually counter to the natural order of existence. Because what you call a miracle is when all the factors that exist within creation are allowed, not made, not forced, allowed to be exactly at the right place, exactly at the right time, rather than being kept away by assumptive definitions that you have been taught. That is why the further you explore the idea of your consciousness, the further you explore the idea of your expansion of consciousness, and the further you recognize your connection to the infinite, the more you will find in what you call your new age that miracles will be, as you say, the order of the day. And that magic as such, per se, and fairy tales as such, will be, in your understanding, the way reality actually is, and not, once again, the exception to the rule. You have given yourself over a long period of time many stories, fantasies, imaginations that allow you to imagine that things could be done very swiftly, very magically, very easily. All of these stories were for the purpose of reminding yourself from the deepest portions of the consciousness, the unconsciousness that you had created, that that is the actual truth of the way your reality is. The actualness of the energy being that you are, that you can really do those things, that you do them all the time. But because you have forgotten, you have allowed yourself for thousands of years to play the game that you didn't notice you were creating your own reality, and that you could have changed it to be anything you wanted it to be at any given moment. But now, after tens of thousands of your years, you have finally arrived more or less at the end of the game of forgetfulness. Because primarily you have done just about everything you could possibly do to play the game of limitation and forgetfulness. You have played almost all the scenarios out. You are almost at the end of anything you could concoct within this particular physical dimension. And so your new age dawns upon you, where you are remembering who and what you are. And therefore that is reflected and represented by your new interest in the exploration of your consciousness, to awaken to the fact that you have simply been asleep for many tens of thousands of years. But now you are waking up. And in so doing, you give off a different vibration, a different frequency. And it is that frequency that we have perceived and accepted as an invitation to begin interacting with you. So that if you choose to, you can take some of the things that have worked for us and see if they will work for you, as you now awaken into a new dawn of understanding about who and what you really are. Let us begin now on what you may call a more pragmatic level, with persona reconstruction. If you're going to reconstruct your persona, the second thing that is implied is that you must understand what a persona is constructed of. It is constructed of basically three things. 1, 2, 3. Very simple. Very simple. Your persona, the person that you are, is constructed much like what you call a glass prism. Now, I will assume that most of you are familiar with the idea that when you hold up what you call a three-sided glass prism in front of white sunlight, you will see a broken down colored spectrum being reflected somewhere beyond as the light passes through. You all familiar with this, yes? The idea is to understand that your personality is much the same idea. You have three sides. Your persona is constructed of three things: belief, emotion, and thought pattern, or if you wish, attitude. These three ideas pass the white, unbroken, homogeneous consciousness of light that you are, the total soul, through the personality prism, and based upon how you have arranged your beliefs, your emotions, and your thought patterns, that determines exactly the type of diversified, broken down, segregated, separated spectrum of your physical reality you experience. You pass that energy through you, and you get the echo of the way the prism you are is constructed. Basically, therefore, you can understand that if you don't like the reality you're experiencing, then there is something, shall we say, amiss in the way your prism is constructed. And there is a very easy way to construct it in the way you want to. Let us understand, by further analogy, what the idea of belief, emotion, and thoughts really are. Let us use the analogy of building a house. Let us assume that your physical reality, your life, is a house. Are you with me so far? Now, beliefs. These are the definitions that you have been taught to believe in. They are the blueprints of the house. They determine, your beliefs, utterly what shape the house will be, how many floors, how many doors, how many windows, how high, which way it faces. The blueprint is essential to be as clear and precise as you want it to be. This is the first and most critical stage. If your blueprint has all sorts of strange little fingerprints all over it, if lines go off in all sorts of directions at oddball angles, as you say, you cannot expect to have any other kind of a life other than what is based upon the blueprint that you allow to exist. The definitions of what you think life has to be or ought to be is what determines the type and style, the flavor, the themes in reality that you experience. Emotion. Emotions are the builders, the construction workers, the activation mechanisms that take the blueprint you have handed them and construct it and draw you to the physical materialization of that blueprint. They are the activators, the builders. And what materials do they have to work with? Your thought patterns, your attitudes, your approaches. These are the materials that they have to build the house out of. If your attitude is flimsy and shaky, you cannot expect anything but the house you have built to fall down, no matter how clean the blueprint. If your attitude, however, is strong and clear, if your convictions are solid, if you are clean and clear in your movements and actions and intentions, then the house that you have built will stand firm and will radiate and shine for all to see as a living example of what you are all about, who and what you are. So belief, emotion, and, shall we say, intentions, thought patterns, attitudes, the building materials. This is what goes into making up the person that you are, the personality construct. Any change, the slightest change in any one of those facets changes you completely from one person to another. A further analogy to describe how this is so. It will be obvious once you think about it. Let us say you have a cube, 6 sides, and they're all painted blue. Are you with me so far? Let us say you decide that you're going to paint one face red. All right, fair enough. Now you might say, well, yes, it's still the same blue cube, but I have painted one of the faces red. So there has been a small change, one little change in the overall idea of the same old blue cube. You can say it that way, or you can understand this point of view. You can say, well, wait a minute. If one of the faces is now red, the entire concept of the cube is also different, because a cube with 6 blue sides and a cube with 5 blue sides and 1 red one is a completely different concept in total from one another. Therefore, I can say that it is the same old cube with a small change, or I could, just as literally, just as accurately, and just as validly say it is an entirely different cube. And that implies that a great change has occurred. You can think of yourselves this way as well. Anytime you change a thought, anytime you change a feeling, anytime you change a belief, you can say, I'm still the same old me, I've just changed a little bit. And that will make anything you want take a long time to happen. Or you can understand that if you rewrite any variable in the equation, you are an entirely new equation with an entirely new outcome. And you can say, well, wait a minute, that small change means I'm starting from scratch right now. Zero. All over if I want to, in any way I want to. Let the implications of what this actually means sink in. If you are truly a different person, one moment to the next, then only those things you want to be attached to you from the past will be attached. And anything else that you no longer believe needs to apply to whoever it is you have redefined yourself to be at this given moment no longer applies. And I mean, we'll get into that later in a more powerful way. We will give you a very precise and what you call practical tool, steps 1, 2, and 3, for using your imagination to change the beliefs that you have and to insert the beliefs that you prefer to have, if that is the case with you. And in such a way that you will know beyond a shadow of a doubt that they will stick. But we will get to that in a moment. First and foremost, we would like to take you through a little bit of an exercise that will loosen you up a little bit in an abstract way, so that you will get in touch with certain aspects of what you may call the unconscious self that you have created within you, so that you will assist us in assisting you to begin to dissolve the barriers between your so-called unconscious and conscious mind, so that you can begin to function as a completely conscious being, so that you will be able to take advantage, better advantage of the other tools we will give you later. So for now, let us begin in an abstract way by performing the following meditation. You may all close your eyes if you wish. You can keep them open if you wish. It is up to you. There is no right way and no wrong way to do this. We will suggest, however, that you become comfortable in whatever way your imagination says is appropriate. And we will also suggest that you take 3 deep breaths right now. And as you do so, relax. Now, continue to breathe in whatever way is most comfortable for you. Do not breathe too heavily. Do not hyperventilate, as you say. We do not want you falling down on the floor. Allow yourself simply to release, to relax, to have fun, for that is, as you say, the bottom line. To enjoy yourself, for you are worth enjoying. And a very important point, perhaps, is to understand this as well. As you now allow yourself to center, to sink into deep relaxation, only what you prefer will get in. Nothing is forced upon you. We are not, in your terms, hypnotizing you. You are completely aware of everything you are accepting and completely aware of everything you do not want to hear right now. But you will receive it all, and you will use it in whatever good time and good pace you decide is correct for you. So do not worry either about getting too much or getting too little. You will get it all, and you will use it in whatever way you want to, when you want to. And secondly, as you continue to breathe deeply, fully, allow yourself now, as you sink into your place of perfect peace, to take any sound, any bodily feeling, any stray thought, and whereas you may have formerly considered these things to be distractions, no longer label them that way. Accept and include everything that happens, because everything happens for a reason. It is a part of you. Any thought, any feeling, any bodily sensation you would have formerly called a distraction, that you formerly would have assumed would keep you from being centered, now understand if it comes up, it is there for a reason. Invite it in, and it will take you deeper, because you will be integrating it and adding it to yourself, rather than trying to force it away or get rid of it, which diminishes you. Add it in. All sounds, all feelings, all thoughts, all bodily sensations, temperature, everything. Add it in. Invite it in. Incorporate and feel it add energy and mass to you. It may make you feel a little bit heavier, but that is all right. It will allow you to sink into that deep state of repose, of relaxation. You, in your imagination now, are creating the bubble, shall we say, that is representative of your place of perfect peace. Wherever and whenever that is doesn't matter to me. It is completely in your hands. Just know beyond a shadow of a doubt that no matter what your mind may tell you, you are going to be at the perfect place you need to be to receive everything you need to receive. Just trust that. And remember this. As you now allow yourself to relax more and more, let us discuss briefly the whole issue of trust. You, in order to create the reality that you desire, are required to have 100% infinite and absolute trust. Now, many of you have been taught to think that this is a very difficult thing to have. It is the easiest thing in creation. And I will tell you why. Because you, as a society, have defined doubt as a lack of trust. And it isn't. Doubt is 100% absolute, infinite trust in a reality you don't prefer. You are always trusting. Always 100%. Were it not so, were you not 100% trusting in something, you would have no reality and no experience to speak of. Your trust creates the reality you experience. What you trust in is up to you. And that is why it is easy to trust. Because the only thing you're doing is not a matter of learning to trust infinitely. The only thing you are doing is shifting your priority of what you are trusting in. From what you don't prefer to what you do prefer. That's all there is to it. It is the same mechanism. It is infallible. It always has worked. It is working now, and it always will. Because it is a part of what you are. You are co-creators with the infinite creator. You cannot help but create, because you were made in the image of God. And what that literally means is that you are multi-dimensional, infinite, and eternal creators too. That is what it means to be made in the image of God. God being all that is. So relax. Do not try too hard. Do not try at all. Just know you are doing right now in whatever way is appropriate for the you happen to be. It will be perfect for you right now. And in so understanding beyond the shadow of a doubt, imagine in whatever way, shape, or form your imagination deems is appropriate the following scenario. In whatever way works best for you, it does not matter, but imagine generally this. You are a crystal with a point at either end, a shining, bright, clear crystal. And you are floating, bobbing, one point up and one point down in the middle of an infinite sea of crystalline blue energy. The surface of this sea stretches out all around you, 360 degrees. You are in the middle, at the very center. And as you float gently and serenely, calmly, as the sea bisects you in the middle, one half pointing up to the sky, one half pointing down into the depths, as you bob gently upon the waves, you realize the following thing. That because the surface of the sea is truly infinite in all directions, then anywhere you are is the center. It might as well be. Because it is infinite, and there is no way to tell how far you have come, no way to measure yourself as to how far you have to go, because no matter how long you travel, no matter in what direction, you will still be at the center, because it will still be infinite in every single direction. So there is no rush. There is no desperation needed. There is no need to try to get to a certain place by a certain time in the overall sense. Relax. Life is for the living, full living, where you are and when you are there. Paradoxically, anywhere you wish to be is more rapidly arrived at by the full living of where you are. For if you are attempting to get somewhere you are not, because you do not like where you are, then you are invalidating where you are, and you are removing the here and the now as a stepping stone. If you do not live the here and the now to the fullest that you can, extracting from it the things that can truly serve you, then you do not use it to get you where you want to be. And there is no other way to get to the future but through the present. Because the future is created from the present, and by the way, so is the past. The present is the only time in which you actually experientially ever exist. Right here, right now, forever. It will change into an infinite number of varieties of presents, but it will always be the present. Always. It will always be here, and it will always be now. So, as you make these recognitions, as you float in this infinite sea of energy, you feel yourself warming to the place you are at. You feel yourself beginning to learn to love it for what it is, because it contains all that you need to enrich yourself to get you anywhere else in that sea you want to go. And as you warm up to it, as you begin to relax in it, as you begin to become comfortable with who you are, where you are, when you are, you feel yourself beginning to dissolve as a crystal. You begin to melt over the surface of the infinite sea, spreading out in an ever-expanding circle like a thin crystalline film, full of rainbow refraction. You spread farther and farther and farther until, impossible as it may seem, you cover the entire surface of the infinite energy sea. All the waves are now within you. There is nowhere on the surface of this sea that you are not. No matter where you focus your consciousness is now the center. They are all the center. Every point is the center when you choose it to be so. You are everywhere, and it is all within you. There is no beyond, no horizon that stretches or reaches beyond your perimeter. It is all within. And as you contemplate this in a relaxed state, feeling the waves undulating within you, up and down, crest and trough, you begin to contemplate the heavens above, the brightness of the light from the sky, and the deepness of space and the stars beyond. For that is infinite too. And as the light from the heavens strikes the crystalline film that you are, it excites some of your molecules and speeds them up. And you begin to rise. A portion of those molecules begin to rise like a crystalline mist. And you begin to fill the entire infinite volume of the sky until all the stars of space are embedded within you. And as you feel the expansiveness above, you feel the creative pressure of all that energy bearing down on you, and you allow that pressure to gently push some of the molecules out of the film that still lie on the surface until they begin to sink down into the depths, the blue, violet, black depths of the infinite sea below you, until you also fill that volume, and all of the creatures in the sky and all of the creatures in the sea now swim and fly within you. And you feel them. You feel them. You feel their electricity. You feel their electromagnetism. You feel their living light as they move through you, like so many electrical impulses of consciousness. It is all within you. And you realize now that you, each and every one of you, is truly one complete perspective, one complete point of view, one complete way that all that is has of being. You are all that is. All that is is you. Every individual is yet one more way that all that is has of manifesting itself in all of the multidimensional, simultaneous ways that it can. And you are one of those ways. And yet within you are all of the other ways as well. All of them. You are infinite. You are eternal being. Because you are aspects of creation. You exist, and therefore you always have, and you always will. Always. So relax. Anything you desire to create is within your power to create. Because it has been given to you with your free will to do so. Choose what you prefer. It is your birthright as children of creation. And now imagine yourself this infinite sphere of blue-white electromagnetic light filling the entire volume of creation, the entire volume of creation filling you. And pick any center, any point, and feel yourself collapsing down, rushing down toward that center point until you meet at the middle and explode in bright white light outward again. And the entire volume crystallizes with that expanding wave of energy into one infinite, multifaceted crystal that shines and is clear and has order and purpose and is aware and alert and awake. Feel the brilliance, the invigoration, the energy, the pulse, the vibration coursing through you. You are living light itself. Literally, living light. Crystallized at a particular point of focus, for a particular purpose, your own. Know that you are this living crystal. That is the symbol of the crystal in your new age of awareness. You are the living crystal of all that is. And the physical crystals upon your planet are simply reflections, are simply the mirrors of the crystalline consciousness each and every one of you is. Take 3 deep breaths and lock this understanding in you. Now. And feel the lightness coursing through you. And after you have concluded your breath of 3, allow yourself slowly, comfortably, at whatever pace is correct for you, to open your eyes. Familiarize yourself with your new surroundings, for once again I remind you, you are not the same people you were a moment ago. Literally. You are not in the same room. You are not in the same city. You are not on the same planet. You are not in the same solar system. You are not the same universe. Literally. You are now, whatever universe is truly more vibrationally representative of the you prefer to be. You have taken yourselves there. You have created the impact of change. You are different. Your lives will be different because you are not the same people living them. Know that for a fact. And now, allow yourselves to stand up and stretch your new bodies. Try them on for size, as you say. They are not the same bodies you used to be. In your own good time, be seated. understand what we have just said. They are not the same bodies you used to be. Notice I did not say they are not the same bodies you used to have. For a body is not really something you have. You do not literally, as you have been taught, inhabit your body as a spirit. No matter what the illusion that is created upon physical death, where it seems you are leaving your body, no matter what the illusion that is created upon what you call astral projection, where it seems you are leaving your body, you are not a resident in a body. That is your illusion that has been created by your definitions of separation upon your planet, by your belief in linear time and volumetric space. It is the illusion your consciousness creates to make sense out of what it is you are doing, which is simply expanding your point of view. Your spirit does not inhabit your body. Your body is your spirit in physical terminology. Your consciousness is not contained within your body. Your body is contained within your consciousness. Understand that concept, and it will have great impact in what you are capable of doing in your physical reality. Because if you understand that concept, then you will understand that everything you call a physical object is within and made of, literally made of, your consciousness. It is not an issue of mind over matter. It is understanding that mind and matter are the same thing. And as you think, so it shall be. This is why it is critical to get in touch with the strongest definitions within you. To change them into what you prefer them to be. You will get the result, guaranteed. You cannot not experience a reality that you are not the vibration of. To explain this in a more graphic way, we have used what we call the radio analogy. Now, you're all familiar with the device on your planet you call a radio, yes? You know that you can receive any number of programs upon that one device, yes? You know that each program is different from every other program by virtue of the fact that they operate on a different frequency, yes? But when your dial is tuned to one particular program, if your radio is, shall we say, functioning correctly, you usually only get one program. Now, you know that while you're listening to that one program, that doesn't mean all the other programs aren't still there. They are. But you do not receive them because you are not attuned to them. Physical creation is that way. There are an infinite number of vibratory realities, an infinite number of Earths, an infinite number of any other civilization, an infinite number of ways you could be experiencing your day-to-day physical reality, an infinite number of choices, an infinite number of opportunities. The ones you wind up experiencing and the ones you wind up attracting as opportunities are completely the reflection of the dial you are and to what station you are attuned. In other words, the thought patterns, the beliefs, and the emotions you buy into the strongest determines the program you get. You want to change the program? Change the dial by changing your frequency. Changing your frequency is simply changing the definition you are of reality. Getting in touch with what those definitions are you have been taught, and changing it, reinventing it, redesigning the definition into what you prefer it to be, and then implementing that in your life. And again, we will get into this much more strongly in a little while, step by step, in an easy, very clear and pragmatic way. But first, another understanding, another expansion of the definition of what you are as a personality. so that you may be more clearly in touch with what that definition is. Now, many of you, for a long period of time, have said, well, all right, we are physical beings, and we have, generally speaking, 5 senses. Our touch, our taste, our smell, our sight, and our hearing. Lately, although, of course, this knowledge has existed in your civilization forever, and some individuals now and then have recognized it, but lately, more large groups of individuals have begun to play with this idea that you may have some sort of, how do you say, mysterious sixth sense somewhere. All right. In fact, you have 7 physical senses and an 8th transcendental one. What you have been calling the 6th sense is actually the 7th. The 6th physical sense could colloquially be called the sense of orientation. It is what you simply call spatial and temporal orientation. How you know where and when you are. What you colloquially in animals call homing instinct. You have it too. It is centered physiologically in your sinus area and is hinged upon the substance in your sinus area called magnetite. And it is very sensitive to shifts in electromagnetic patterns surrounding your Earth and throughout the universe. This is what your animal consciousness is used to, as you say, navigate. You all have it. Now, some of you seem to use it in a polarity way. You say, I never know where I am. I'm always lost. Always, without fail. Well, that is still a type of sensitivity. It is simply that you are polarizing it. But you're still using the facility. The idea is to understand that the reason you are usually not familiar with the 6th and the 7th senses is because the first 5 are electrochemical in nature and much more easily sensed by you. And the 6th and the 7th are electromagnetic in nature and a little bit more refined, a little bit more subtle in a sense. Now, the one that you've been calling the 6th, which is actually the 7th, is vibrational discernment. It is the basic extrapolation of what in your language you used to say when you said, well, the vibes are good, the vibes are bad. The vibrations are given off by every individual electromagnetically. You all resonate at a particular pitch. That is your signature vibration. It is a combination of many vibrational electromagnetic patterns, and each and every one of you are sensitive to picking them up and interpreting them relative to your own. So you get a sense of the integrity or the lack of integrity or the intentions of another individual or a situation. Now, sometimes, of course, those intentions can be, shall we say, filtered, colored, interpreted by your own beliefs, but nonetheless, you still receive those vibrations. And again, it is generally electromagnetic. It is centered within what you call the glandular systems of your body, especially the pineal gland of your brain. And it is to some degree assisted by the fact that every single cell of your body at the very center has what you may call a small antenna, a small receiver that is sensitive to those electromagnetic pulses. They travel to some degree along your neural network, but they also are, shall we say, pumped up by what you call your enzymatic network and your endocrine system as well. They are assimilated and regulated by the glandular flow of your body and translated into an overall feeling that you have called vibes. Now, the 8th transcendental sense is simply the sense of knowingness. When you don't necessarily require any of the other senses to simply, all of a sudden, for no apparent reason, know that something is so. It is transcendental because it directly links your physical self with your non-physical overall oversoul, the total being that you are. The connective place in your body is within what you call the corpus callosum, the membrane that divides your left brain hemisphere and your right brain hemisphere. At the very center, there is a gate, a doorway that is connected, in that sense, what many of you have called the crown chakra of your body that connects you to all other levels of your being, your transcendental sense of overall knowingness, above and beyond what you call space-time orientation, because space and time are your illusions as well. Not that they are not real while you're in it, but they are, shall we say, simply side effects of how you interpret the idea of the dimension you are being at this time. They are reflections of the fact that you have segregated yourselves into so many different parts. If you chop your idea of yourself up into so many different parts, you create a need for a medium called volume and time, which will allow you to experience all the pieces you have rendered yourselves into. When you think of yourselves in a more homogeneous way, as a single consciousness, you do not need to experience as much time, as much space. And that is why, when you are having what you call fun, when you are truly absorbed, truly creating, truly living in the moment, that's why you don't experience the idea of time and space so much. You all say, well, when you're having fun, time flies. Now, you know it doesn't really fly. What you're doing is not, literally, not creating as much time when you are absorbed in the doing of who and what you are that really excites you, that you really love to do. You don't create as much of the concept of space and time because you're right here, focused right now at the very center. You're not scattered and spread out. Therefore, you don't need as much time. You don't need as much space in which to experience all that you are. You receive it in large conceptual gulps, in whole bites, bigger chunks, as you say. Now, here is something else about that. When you are doing something that totally immerses you, and you feel experientially that, oh, let's say 1/2 of your hours has passed, and you look up, and all around you, you see that approximately, let's say, 3 of your hours have passed. And you say, oh my, where did the time go? Understand, what you have simply done, because you have agreed to play the basic time game that your whole society is playing, is you have reinserted yourself back in the time track to play catch-up with everyone else, so you will still be synchronized with them. When they say it must be 3 hours later, you will agree. However, if you truly, experientially have felt that only about 1/2 of your hours have passed, you have literally only aged 1/2 hour. Literally. Living in the moment is how you become ageless, timeless, like a child. Because you are, in that sense, as every being is, a child of creation. You are infinite. You are eternal. And you do not necessarily have to age in the way you have used age. You can mature, you can grow, you can learn, but it does not in any way, shape, or form ever have to be debilitating or disease-ridden. Dis-ease. All dis-ease, all pain, mental pain, spiritual pain, physical pain, emotional pain, all dis-ease is the result of resistance to the natural self. It is trying to be something and someone you know you're not, based on beliefs, definitions, expectations, judgments, invalidations, guilts, frustrations, hates, rages, all the self-doubting and invalidating concepts that you have created with separation in your society. They are what create the idea of the aging and the diseases in your society. You do not need them as symbols. You can still have growth. You can still have challenge. You can still discover an infinite number of things in ecstasy. You can. It's up to you. But I guarantee you have every right to experience it that way. Now, before we get to the 1, 2, 3 practical step. One more time, let us, shall we say, explore another abstract aspect of your energy so that you will be able to fully utilize what we will give you later. This type of blending that will occur in this particular meditation is of the essence, because what it will do is facilitate a blending of the polarities, the dichotomies, the paradoxes within you. And especially, it will allow you to get in touch with what each and every one of you have within you and what your society has insisted on denying for so long. That each and every one of you has both masculine and feminine energy within you. The blending and the marrying of these two energies, of this relationship of yourself to yourself, is instrumental in creating balance. Blending these does not mean that if you have chosen to be born as a physical male, you will cease acting as a physical male. It doesn't mean that if you have chosen to be born as a physical female, you will cease acting as a physical female. What it means is that you will understand assertiveness and receptivity within you no matter whether you are male or female. It means you will cease fearing your other self. It means you will marry yourself and be at ease and at peace in an unconditionally loving relationship with the total energy you are. Because the soul that you are contains both. Even if it may express itself physiologically one way or another in any given lifetime, it still contains both energies. A blending and a balancing of those energies will keep you absolutely at the center of yourself. And at the center of yourself, by definition, there can be no such thing as dis-ease. None. Therefore, one more time, but for the very first time, since of course you are new people, close your eyes. Take 3 deep breaths. Know to know beyond the shadow of a doubt that you are creating the place of perfect peace in which you will receive everything you need. Everything. Imagine, in whatever way works best for you, at whatever pace works best for you, taking my words only as a suggestion, knowing that your imagination will alter it in whatever way is best for you. Imagine the following scenario. Approximately 10 feet in front of you is a replica, a mirror image of your body, of you, the physical you you believe yourself to be. Just look at it. Just look. And observe that it is looking at you. Just looking. Now, in your imagination, while the other you stands perfectly still, walk up to it and walk all around it. Observe it from every angle. Float above it. Float below it. Look at it from every possible angle you can. Just observe for what it is. For it is the idea you have been being. Just take it in. Absorb it. Do not judge it. Do not analyze it. Just look. Just feel. And when you are done, go back and stand in your original position, facing it about 10 feet away, as you say. And then you stand perfectly still. And allow your duplicate to come to you. Let it walk all around you as you walked around it. Let it observe you from every possible angle. It knows you are watching, but that is all right. It just wants to be familiar with you. When it has satisfied itself Allow it to go back to its starting point and just continue to look at each other. Take in a deep breath and let it out as a sigh. And just relax. Send energy in your imagination to that other self and feel that other self sending energy to you. Send love to that other self. And if for any reason you feel the need, send forgiveness, even as you allow the other self to send forgiveness to you for anything that you feel has been an act outside of your integrity. For anything you feel is a reason that allowed you to do that, do not continue to chastise yourself. You do not need to consider yourself unworthy of love. Just forgive, even as the infinite creation always forgives. You deserve it. Just relax. If you are now making a decision to be a different you, then understand that your choice to simply make that decision is enough to balance any other choice you have made. Open your arms in your imagination. See the other you opening its arms and walk toward each other, meeting halfway in the middle, and as you meet, embrace. And just hold. Just support. Just nurture. Just feel the other you. Just love it. Let it love you. Let it. Allow it. Just allow it. And as you feel your hearts beating against each other's chests, feel the warmth that begins to allow you to merge. You are literally merging into one body, one form, beating with one heart, breathing as one breath. You are one being, one. You have blended the conscious and the unconscious. So there is no longer any need for the in-between communication of subconsciousness. You are now awake and alert as one being, ready and willing to accept all within you, ready and willing to know that everything you are now going to discover about yourself can become a part of who and what you desire to be. There are no interruptions, nothing to oppose you. You are in control. You have always been in control. Even when it seems you have been out of control, you have created that illusion with your belief. You are a 100% being. Always. Even if there have been times when you have used 90% of yourself to make it seem as if you've only used 10%. You are a 100% being. No more, but never any less. And now, in your imagination, turn around 180 degrees and behold, 10 feet away from you once again is another being, another body. However, this body is your identical twin, but your sexual opposite. It is what you would have looked like had you been born sexually opposite to what you are now. It is the other side, the polarity of you. Look at it. Just look. Let it look at you. Do not fear it. Do not judge it. It will stand perfectly still for you while you go. Walk all around it. Observe it from every angle. It knows you are watching, but it trusts you implicitly. When you are through, go back to your starting place and allow it to do the same to you as before. To walk all around you, above and below you. To become familiarized with you, as you became familiarized with it. Until it is satisfied and goes back to its starting position. Then, as before, open your heart and send waves of love, of bonding love, of unconditional love. And if you find it is necessary, send forgiveness. And if you find it is necessary, receive forgiveness. And open your arms and your imagination, even as your opposite opens its arms and walks toward you, as you walk toward it, and you meet in the middle and embrace for the first time in a long time. And you just hold and support and nurture and love each other for what you are. No longer is there any need to express what the other ought to be. It is what it is, and as it is perfect. Feel your hearts beating against each other's chests. You are in love. As you float in the warmth of the energy cocoon that surrounds you, you feel yourself merging, melting, blending as one being with both energies, male and female, female and male. You are one homogeneous, balanced light. And as you blend, your light increases, and you are a vibrant, radiant white light that shines to the infinite spaces around you, so that all may see the living light that you have chosen to be. Balanced, clear, enlightened, and clean, with your integrity intact and your intentions razor sharp and crystal clear. You are one being, awake and alert, conscious, truly conscious, for the first time in a long time. And it feels good. And it feels expansive, and it feels light and effortless and joyful and above and beyond all ecstatic ecstasy. You will never find that there will ever be too much ecstasy for you to handle. Ever. You never receive at any moment more than you can handle. For the universe and creation does not do pointless nor extraneous things. Everything that is because it fits, because it belongs where it is, as it is. Everything that exists deserves to exist, or it wouldn't exist. Treat yourself with the same respect that the infinite treats you with by having created you to begin with. If it didn't believe you deserve to exist, you wouldn't. So the you know yourself to be, the complete and total you, is worthy of all you can conceive. You deserve it because you have conceived of it, because it is representative of you, and you belong. You fit, or you wouldn't exist. 3 3 deep breaths and lock it in. And know it with all your knowingness beyond the shadow of a doubt. And in your own way, in your own time, open your eyes and greet the new dawn, the new day, the new world around you, and the new, once again, new you. You are not the same. I am not the same. This conversation begins now. Happy birthday. If you wish, once again, you may stand and stretch and get used to the new you that you are from this moment forward until you change again. And as you are doing so, allow me to remind you, be seated if you wish, change is the only stable constant in creation. I ask you simply, how are you truly more stable? By attempting to be static and stand on one foot, or by moving left, right, left, right, left, right? The motion is what gives you balance. The change is what gives you growth. And it is what truly creates stability. Attempting to remain in the same spot creates stagnation. Stability is the product of being willing to change. As you say in your language, to go with the flow, because the flow comes from you. Life does not happen to you. It happens through you. You are the crucible. You are the catalyst. The furnace that melts down all probable realities into one homogeneous energy and crystallizes them into the realities you prefer to be. After your break, we will now discuss some of the more pragmatic tools you can apply directly now and get the result in your physical day-to-day existence. But for now, you may enjoy a refreshing short break. We will resume contact in this fashion in approximately 10 to 15 of your minutes of counting. As the new you, enjoy. Are you just going to call on raised hands when it comes time for Q&A?
Yeah.
All right, say, allow us to continue in the following manner. Let us discuss now the idea of a very specific tool, a very sharp-edged tool that has a great deal of impact into your physiological reality and your ability to change that reality in the way you prefer it to be. It is a very straightforward technique, very powerful technique, and we guarantee that if you use it, you will find great changes occurring in all levels of your reality, but of course, only as fast and only in what ways you prefer them to. It will not run out of control, as you say. It is to be used by you and applied by you where and when you want to get the results you desire. We discussed earlier with you the notion that the critical ideas of the situations that happen to you in life are basically the product of how you define them to be, what your definitions are of the most likely type of atmosphere or circumstance that can occur to you. Now, sometimes what can be of great assistance, as we have said, is getting in touch with what the definition is you already have, and then redefining it. In other words, you can say, well, if I have a reality I don't prefer, in a meditative state, allow yourself to imagine what kind of a belief would you have to have in order to create the reality that you're getting. Examine it honestly with yourself. Honest communication is necessary. You have to be very clear about why you're getting what you're getting and why you're not getting what you're not getting. You have to be very clear about what it is you really think about these things, what it is you really believe about these issues. What would you believe if you did get it? Would you be different in a way you don't want to be different? Do you have a belief that you have to be different in a way you don't want to be if you got what you say you want? Discuss it from every angle with yourself. For many times you will find the only thing keeping at bay what you desire is simply your assumption of what it must be if you get it. An example. Many of you, we have discovered in our conversations with you, have a great deal of issues, as you say, regarding what you call abundance. Now the idea can be expressed in many different ways. And this whole section is also involved with excitement and abundance. For a very good reason, because they are intimately connected. Intimately connected. In fact, they are effects of the same thing. One thing. They're not really two different things. Excitement, abundance. Both are effects, different sides of the same coin, as you say, the same issue. The idea, however, is that many of you have created so many separations in your life, so many definitions in your life about what you think something is or what you think it ought to be, that is those definitions in of themselves that prevent you from experiencing what you say you want. Abundance, abundance, abundance. Many of you interpret it in one particular way. You talk about monetary richness, and it is a valid way, but let's discuss that now since that's the way most of you are familiar with. Many of you say, I'd love to be rich, but I can't seem to be able to get rich. I see other rich people all the time. They're rich. I'm not. I'm jealous. I'm envious. All right. Fair enough. But remember, jealousy and envy are the result of judgment. Judgments in the following way. If you are jealous and envious of someone else, what you are saying is, they contain something I don't. Jealousy is when you recognize that someone else has something, but you don't recognize that in order to be able to see it in them, you must contain it too. Remember, you cannot experience a reality you are not the vibration of. If you see something in them, you must also, in order to be able to see it in them, you must be capable of attaining it as well. Jealousy comes in when you judge that they have it and you don't. When you understand that you also have the same potential, when you allow them to function as an example to you, then you get the opposite of jealousy, inspiration. Jealousy is when you discount yourself. When you invalidate them, you invalidate yourself, and you feel cut off from what you see. Inspiration is when you feel connected to what you see and use them as a living example of what you can also be if you want to be. But if you also have within you certain definitions, let us say once again about the idea of being rich, then the following scenario may happen. You may not even know you have the following definition, but you may say, well, I want to be rich. You may say this on the surface all the time. But you may focus on other people around you in a particular way, maybe in the following way. You may have been brought up unconsciously to believe that all the individuals around you that you see that are rich have terrible, terrible habits and manners. Oh, yes, everyone knows rich people are, as you say, very snooty and do not care about anyone else, and they are quite atrocious in their behavior, and, well, to sum it up in the English language, they are jerks. All right. Many of you have these beliefs within you that in order to be rich, you have to act like a jerk. If you have that kind of a belief system within you, and you don't want to be a jerk, then you will also, as long as you make the association between that state and being rich, never be rich either. Because you are keeping it away by defining that it will automatically bring you something else you don't want. You don't have to define it that way. That is why it is essential many times to get in touch with what it is you do define, what your definition of the situation is, because once you realize that you may have had that kind of a definition, you can say, wait a minute, I don't have to believe that. I don't have to be that way. Just because I'm rich doesn't mean I have to be a jerk. I can be who I want to be and be rich. I can be rich the way I want to be. I don't have to associate one with the other. Therefore, there is no longer any stigma, no longer any taboo in allowing myself to be as rich as I can be. Because I know I will be that way in the way I want to be, and I don't have to follow the example of individuals who have done it outside of their integrity. I can maintain my integrity and be rich. That is changing the definition. Once you have changed the definition, then nothing. If that definition is precise and clear, and conviction exists strongly enough, nothing will stop that reality from flowing in your direction. Nothing, 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 nothing. There is nothing to stop it anyway, except you. Nothing to stop it. Nothing. So, the other way, another way, in conjunction with the idea of finding out what the belief systems are that you already have, is to find the belief system you do want. And this is simply put in the following way. It has to do with excitement. Excitement. What is it? What is excitement? How many of you really know what excitement actually is? You may know what it feels like, but what is it that you're feeling when you feel excited about something? Well, I'll give you our definition. It may not be your definition, but it is our definition. It may work for you, it may not. Here it is. Excitement. Dot, dot, as you say. All right. Excitement, since you are feeling some right now, is the physical... are you paying attention? Oh. I was talking to all of you. All right. Excitement is the the physical translation of the vibrational energy that represents what? The path you chose to be. In other words, whatever it is in life that excites you more than anything else excites you because that's who you are and what you're all about. Do it. Why hold back? I'll tell you why you hold back. You already know why you hold back if you are holding back. Because your society has taught you many things that contradict what you know you actually are. Your society may say, oh, well, yes, oh, this excites you, does it more than anything else? Well, that's all well and good, but here it comes. That's no way to make a living. Oh, don't be such a child. Oh, grow up. Oh, that's ridiculous. Oh, that's silly. Oh, no one takes that seriously. Oh, well, that would make a nice hobby, but as a real job, this is the real reality, as you say. All those ideas stop you before you start. Stop you from realizing that whatever it is that excites you the most, no matter how fantasy-like it may seem when compared to some of the more quote-unquote realistic ideas on your planet, is still nonetheless the thing that excites you the most, and as such is actually your signal and your sign for what it is in your life that will actually support you most abundantly, believe it or not. It all comes wrapped in one kit, one unbroken kit. Whatever it is that excites you the most tells you three things. A, as we have said, this is who you are. B, because it is who you are, it will be one of the easiest things you could ever do. And C, because it is one of the easiest things you could ever do, you will be supported abundantly in whatever way you need to be supported to be allowed to continue to do the thing that you really are. Because the universe supports you when you are what you know you are. It supports you when you're not. But it also creates resistance because that is not who you were created as. It supports you negatively. It supports you by giving you the resistance to let you know who you are. But your society has created so much limitation, so much segregation and separation, that you spend a great degree of time insisting on being who you're not. And that's what tires you out. and why you are, as you say, wasted by the end of the day very often. An individual that does what it is that is really apropos and true for them, what is really an expression of their unique creativity, is always overjoyed and energetic all through the day, and actually finds that they need very little physical rest. That is why what you call, many of your so-called geniuses, seem to subsist on extremely little sleep, because they are fully involved in being who they are. Sometimes you call them eccentric. Fair enough. But that may simply be the way they have to play the game to be who they are. And they are only eccentric when you compare them to the way your society judges that they ought to act. Who is to say how you ought to act to be who you are? With integrity, absolutely, if you want to maintain who you are in a positive direction. If you are being who you are without integrity, then you usually create a type of resistance that creates all sorts of what you call problems. However, it doesn't prevent you from being negative. You can be negative because you have free will. But being negative creates more negativity and more separation and segregation in your life, because that is the way it accelerates in a negative direction. Being a positive and an integrated individual always creates more unification and acceleration in the positive direction. That is simple physics. There is nothing mysterious about this at all. What you put out is what you get back, plain and simple, at some point, one way or another. Whether it seems to build up for a time, if nothing is happening right now, it will hit somewhere, somewhen. Remember, you are infinite and eternal beings. One lifetime does not necessarily give you an indication of exactly the type of momentum you are storing up. You will experience it somewhere. However, because this now is your so-called accelerated new age, you will find, many of you, that many of the things that it may have previously taken you many lifetimes to live out can all be experienced right now in one life. So you will find you're so highly accelerated that now many of the things you do will, in that sense, come to you, will manifest in this life. Many of the things that you focus on are achievable in this life, now. So the idea to understand, first of all, is to focus upon the idea that excites you the most with integrity. That is the first step, identifying above and beyond anything else the thing in life that really motivates you. Now, I do not necessarily mean that you have to come up right now with the thing that will be the most exciting thing you will ever do. But right now, out of all the things you are consciously aware of that are open and available to you, of all the things that are opportunities for you to act upon, of all the things you are capable of acting upon, that's a key understanding. Of all the things that you have the ability to do something about, pick the one at every given moment that excites you beyond anything else, and do it with integrity. You will always, by doing that, always be completely aligned, flawlessly, fluidly, effortlessly, and abundantly with the path you are. Always. Excitement is the thread. It leads to all other things and circumstances that will excite you. All other growth and acceleration that will continue to excite you and give you the abilities you need to do the next most exciting thing that will come along automatically, synchronistically. In your society, you say coincidentally. There are no accidents, not one, no matter how small. Now, we are not saying everything is predetermined, everything is fate. No, we are not saying that. You create your own destiny, but you are an orchestration. You decide where you will go, what choices you will make, and you get the result of those choices. If anything is predetermination, it is simply that what you choose will give you a result, and you are predestined to experience the result of your choice. But as soon as that is fulfilled, you're at the crossroads again, and you make another choice. You are always capable of choosing. Always. And, most importantly, you are always capable of transforming every situation into a positive one if you desire to. Because
All, are you paying attention still? Oh, all right. All situations are fundamentally neutral. No situation has built-in meaning. They are all blank, devoid of meaning. They're all props. The meaning you have been taught to give to them determines the effect you get out of them. It is that simple. If you give a positive meaning to a neutral situation, you will get a positive effect out of it, no matter what you may have previously been taught to believe the situation must mean, no matter how it looks on the surface. If you give it for yourself a positive meaning, if you know you will be able to get something positive out of it, even if its original intention was negative, you will only get a positive effect out of it. If, however, you give it a negative meaning, the only thing you can get out of it is a negative effect. Again, this is simple physics. You get out what you put in. Plain and simple. It is this principle, the only principle that actually exists for every being in creation. It is the only law. It is the structure of existence itself. Everything else you call laws, whether moral, religious, political, social, economic, or scientific, are all based on the one structural law. What you put out is what you get back. It works for everyone, everywhere, every when. It is the only law there is. Therefore, allow yourself to not be guided by the way things necessarily look. We are not saying to ignore when you know for a fact through observation that someone is doing something intentionally to harm in a negative way. We are not saying that you look at this and call it positive. What we are saying is that you observe what is going on and know that it can be transformed into a positive idea, and the first step in doing so is to see what positive can come out of it. To live as a living example, a shining example of the fact that it can be transformed, and that will allow the other individuals, if they choose to see a way to turn it around. Because every single time an individual does something outside of integrity, every time they do something negative, it is mostly because they don't believe they have any other choice, because they believe they're out of control, because they have been taught to believe they're out of control. And if they believe they're out of control, they don't believe the control exists within. The only way they believe they can gain control over their lives is to interact with what they see outside. And that means they feel that the only way to have control is to dominate what they see outside and who they see outside them. But that is a downward spiral, which causes them to feel more desperate, more out of control, because the control is not out there, it's in here already. And if they feel that they are out of control and attempt to dominate their exterior and create a sinking spiral of negativity, they feel they are going, as you say, down the drain. They feel alone, cut off. They reach and grasp desperately for whatever they can, and they try to take as many people with them as they possibly can because they don't want to be alone. That is the reason, basically, fundamentally, for all of what you would call your negative behavior and criminal activity upon your planet. It is because these people have been brought up to believe they are not in control already. An individual that knows the control is there, that knows they are an aspect of the infinite, has the infinite power to create anything they want without having to hurt anyone else or themselves in order to create it, because the control's already there. So, first step, at any given moment, or as a career, any way you want to, identify what excites you the most, above and beyond anything else. First step. Second step, not only identify what it is, but identify with it in the following way. You are beings of great emotionality. We have discussed that emotions are the activation mechanisms that bring manifestation into physical materiality. Emotion, energy, motion. Use it. It is the activation principle. The stronger your desire for something, the easier and more quickly it can manifest. Your emotional content and magnitude literally reaches out and grabs it and pulls it in. Literally. Out of all the possible realities you could have, your emotions determine the vibrational pitch that determines what realities are capable of echoing that pitch, of fitting that mold. So, identify emotionally and physiologically, sensorially, with the thing that excites you in the following way. Now, we already discussed the idea that you have 7 physical senses and an 8th transcendental one. So when we say use all your senses, use all your senses, not just the 5. In the following way. Now, here's where your imagination comes in. Your imagination is the single most powerful tool you have. It is everything. Everything. Here's how to use it. After you have used your imagination to determine what it is that excites you more than anything else, use your imagination to concoct a scenario in your mind's eye, a picture. Visualize, if you will. See yourself in the scenario you want to be in. As you say, in full living color. Use every sense you have, as you say, to get into, to become wrapped up in, to be absorbed by that image. Because if that image is truly representative of what you say is the most exciting thing you can imagine doing, you will be excited when you see it in your mind. You will lock into it. You will plug into it with all of your heart, all of your soul. You will feel it. You will taste it. You will hear as if you were that person. You will touch as if you were already that person. Smell things in the way that you would do it. Here's a clue. Don't continue to see, hear, taste, feel, touch, smell, sense in the way the old you that you don't prefer to be would do it. In other words, do not continue the habit of the old you. Look at the way the new you in that situation is handling things. Look at the difference in attitude, because you know that if you were that you doing that exciting thing, you would be acting differently than you're acting now, would you not? Look at the picture. Watch that you being ecstatic, handling things with assurance and conviction, with finesse and creativity, with grace and charm and ecstasy, sharing the joy, savoring the richness and the qualities of all the things that you see that you doing, that you say are the most exciting things you can think of to do. Plug into it. Feel as that you would feel. That is a very critical step. Get used to feeling that. Junction with it. Feel that way. If there is something going on in your life, some situation you don't know how to handle as the you are now, the you've defined yourself to be so far, take that situation, concoct the imaginary you that you want to be, and hand the situation to that you. Sit back in your meditation and watch what that you does. Then, tied into the third step, physical activity. You are beings of physical action. Do. Physically do what you see that you doing with the situation you have handed it, and you'll get the same result. That's what your imagination is for. It's a template. Follow it. Mimic it. Mirror it. Match it when you have the image of the you want to be. Act like that you, and you'll get the lifestyle you see that you getting in that picture. That's the third step. After identifying what excites you, after identifying with the excitement emotionally, sensorially, as you can, and I mean physically. Physicalize it. Make the props. Borrow the props. In that sense, that you feel are the closest representations of the things you would be dealing with, the people you would be interacting with, the places in which you would be interacting as closely as you can. Surround yourself with the physical symbols, pictures, the props, or the real objects you would actually be having in the actual place, or the closest approximation to it you can concoct. Literally build a set if you must, and then immerse yourself physically in it, acting as if you are already that person, becoming familiar with using the props, feeling the space around you that would be the space you would live in, you would work in, if you were being that exciting person, doing that exciting thing. Create your environment to mimic as closely as you can the environment you want to be in, because then you will train yourself physiologically to react to those stimuli. You will retrain your physical body to react to the things you want to be surrounded with. And you don't necessarily have to do it all day long. You can set aside some play time, and you can concoct a special area in which you will go and immerse yourself. And for those 10 minutes, purely you will be nothing in that space but that person you want to be, acting in no other way but the way the person you say you want to be would act. Are you following along? Step 1. Identify the thing that excites you the most. Step 2. Identify with it emotionally, sensorially. Create the image. See it. Taste it. Feel it. Step 3. Physicalize it. Act it out. Literally, as if you were an actor on a stage with props, as best as you can. Do those 3 steps, and you will be amazed at how quickly the real reality will start flooding in. You will generally find that when you go at it with this much conviction, almost no scenario you can conceive of will take any longer than between 3 days to 3 of your weeks to manifest some symbol that it has started to happen in your life. It doesn't need to take any longer than that. It can happen in less time. Sometimes it may take more time. But generally speaking, that is the average time span required for almost anything you could ever conceive of that has to do with you. If not to the full fruition of what you want, at least within that time span to see a symbol, a sign, an indication that things are starting to move in that direction. When you see that, don't stop. Keep going. Accelerate it. Let that excite you all the more. Give you that much more conviction to act it out even further. Go and be with the type of people you think you need to be with to do the thing that excites you the most. Talk with them. Make them your colleagues now. Do not wait until the thing starts. Be whatever aspect of that thing you can be now. Do the things you could be doing now to set yourself up, because there are many times many things that you overlook because you simply are not looking for the obvious. Use all the avenues that are open to you with integrity. Do the obvious and the simple things you could be doing to, as you say, put yourself out there, to advertise yourself as the person you want to be, to let other people know that's who you are, so you can attract them to assist you. Remember, assisting other people and being assisted by other people is a part of the sharing that makes it a whole idea. You are still doing it yourself, even when you attract someone else to help you. You don't have to feel like, if I don't do it all by myself every single step, I won't have done it alone. Attracting the people who have the skills to help you that you have not necessarily been able to acquire is still doing it yourself, because you attracted them. Put it out there, who you are. Let people know who you are, so you can function as the unit you are as a society. Stop being an isolated island. Put it out there. Who are you? Advertise it. Act like it. Be that person. Do the things that person would do. Do not do the things the person would not do. Otherwise, all you're doing is reinforcing who you say you don't want to be. Act this way with integrity. I guarantee 100% you will get the result. No exceptions. Because it has always worked this way. You have always gotten what you have identified with, what you have acted as. All we are doing, once again, is reminding you, you have a choice in the things that manifest. You are not a victim. You are in control. The only thing that makes life seem to victimize you is the fact that you have created and believe in the creation of your hidden unconscious self. You are one being. Act like it, and you will have a life that is representative of that oneness. I can't prove it to you. You, however, can prove it to yourself easily, effortlessly, and deservedly so. The most important factor I can now add is this, for this is the thing that most of you have the greatest degree of difficulty with. We have outlined already steps 1, 2, and 3. In a sense, there is a fourth step. It is the simplest of all. Once again, step 1. Identify what excites you. Step 2. Identify with what excites you. Step 3. Act it out. Step 4. Are you ready? It is the most critical one of all. Are you sure you're ready?
Yes.
Are you sure you're sure?
Yes.
All right. I'm not. Oh, yes, I am. It is that easy. I have in no way, shape, or form left anything out. It is that simple. Many of you may find from time to time that what you call your analytical mind, your judgment selves, your ego selves may say, oh, it's got to be harder than that. That can't be all there is to it. Can't be that easy. That's not complex enough. Life doesn't work that way. I've always been told if I don't struggle for something, it isn't worth having. It's got to be harder than that. Can't I complicate it just a little bit to make it seem as if I'm doing something more important? Well, yes, you can. You can complicate it all you want. However, it doesn't change the fact that it actually is that easy. It's up to you. If you allow it to be that easy, it will work that easily. If you want it to be more complex, it will take more time. Because of the way many of you have created yourselves to be, sometimes you will do over and 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 over the thing you really don't want to do, just because you find it hard to believe, until you get good and sick and tired of doing what you don't want to do, that it is actually, truly permissible and all right to do effortlessly what you really want to do. Some of you just take a long time because you don't believe there's any other way until you reach the bottom of the barrel, and then, finally then, when you're at the bottom, do you finally allow yourself to realize every other choice is better than this. Everything is equal, everything is up, because I can't get any further down. Sometimes you force yourself into those corners just so you will be absolutely sure there's not one more thing you could do to complicate your life. Just to check it all out, just to be sure I don't want to miss anything. And then finally, you will say, okay, it's that. Now, some of you say, I surrender. It is all right to say that. But understand, by surrendering, we do not mean that you are giving up control. Some of you have a misunderstanding about that term in your society. Yes, you do need to surrender. But when you surrender, what you're actually doing is falling into the control you already effortlessly have. The only reason it doesn't seem like you're in control anymore is because you've always been taught to measure control through the amount of resistance you get. When there's no more resistance, you think, oh, it's out of my hands, something else must be doing it now. I've given it up, I'm not in control anymore, something else is running my life. Well, that's fine, it's much easier now. But you are not giving up control. You're actually taking back responsibility, full responsibility. Because you're finally realizing that responsibility doesn't have to mean blame. Responsibility means I have freedom to choose anything I want and get it. And I always have. And I always will. That's responsibility. It is simply having the conviction to make a choice and to be responsible for the choice you make. If you find sometimes that you make choices and you don't prefer them, all right. If you find that you have made choices out of integrity, all right. Get back on track, as you say. Use it in a positive way. Because now you can say, well, all right, now I know that's what I don't want to do. And so that gives me a much clearer idea of what I do want to do. Sometimes many of you do that as well. You keep doing things over and over and over again that you really don't want to do. And by doing that, you ultimately define who you really are. By now knowing who you're really not. And that's one way too, and it's valid. It's just as valid as anything else, but it takes a long time. Taking time is valid too. But it's up to you. Allow yourselves to understand. It is as simple as you will allow it to be. Because once again, miracles are the natural order of things. And after all, what this whole new age is all about on your planet is learning how not so much to be normal, but to be natural. Yes, there is still a consensus reality. Yes, there are many similarities in your world that you'll continue to share with other individuals and agree must exist in order to play the game. But you have a lot of leeway in that game, a lot more than you think. Learn how much leeway you have now. Whatever you can conceive of, whatever it is that excites you the most, it wouldn't excite you if you were incapable of doing it. That would be pointless, wouldn't it? The universe does not do pointless things. It would not give you something that excites you so much that you desire beyond everything else, and then say, no, I'm sorry, I was just showing it to you. You can't really have it. For your society to assume that the universe works that way, well, that's a fairy tale, as far as I am concerned. The universe does not work that way. What inspires you because it is what you are. It is the sign. The excitement itself is the sign all of you ask for all the time. Oh, please, God. Oh, please, universe. Give me a sign. What is my mission? What is my purpose? Why am I here? Who am I? Tap, tap, tap. Hey, look at this exciting thing over here. Don't bother me now. I'm looking for my purpose in life. Please give me a sign. Please, I beg you. Tap, tap, tap. What about this exciting thing? I said, leave me alone. Can't you see I'm about some very serious business? I'm trying to find out who I am. The excitement is telling you who you are. That's the sign. What else could possibly get your attention so strongly but something that immerses you so completely? It is the sign. Go with it. Act on it with integrity. You will be denied nothing. Nothing. Now, here's another little exercise that can help, perhaps. We call it mirror, mirror. And this is, shall we say, not meaning to put this in a derogatory term, a little bit of a test for you. Once you have decided what it is that excites you, look in a mirror. Look in your eyes. Pretend that the image in the mirror is actually someone else. Tell that you about the thing that excites you. Have that you ask you questions about it. Give that you some answers. And while you're doing that little dialogue with yourself in the mirror, look into your eyes and see if you believe one word of what you're saying. When you can trust that the image in the mirror absolutely believes every word it is saying, that's when you know your definition is clear and when you have the conviction that it takes. Because if you doubt it, why should the universe give you something you say you can't handle? Well, this is what it would excite me, but, well, I don't know. I doubt I can handle it. I don't really believe I'm capable or worthy of receiving this. The universe isn't going to give you what you say you can't handle. So, mirror, mirror, See if you look convincing. See if you really believe what you say you believe. And another little tool that you may find very valuable. We are just, as you say, chock full of them. It is called threshold of believability. It is, if we have preferences at all, one of our favorites because it works so very quickly. Very quickly. Let us say now you have an idea of what it is that excites you the most. But for some reason, there's some definition, some belief within you that says, well, I believe that I can be that me, but I believe it's going to take me 10 years. All right, fair enough. Here's how you can reduce the amount of time. Very simply, threshold of believability. Have the image, plug into it, see it for all it's worth, and then ask yourself a series of questions. Be honest, once again. Honesty within your own dialogue is essential. Be honest with yourself. There's nothing to fear. You don't have to cheat. Everything will work out just fine. Ask yourself this. All right, here's the image. Here's the thing. This is what I want to be. This is what excites me the most. Now, beyond a shadow of a doubt, and I mean no hesitation whatsoever, do I believe that in 20 years I will be able to be that thing by then? Will 20 years be more than enough time for me to be what I say I want to be? 20 years? No problem. Not a shadow of a doubt. That's more than enough. That's a long time. No problem. I have more than enough time in 20 years to become what I say I want to be. 10 years? No problem. That's a lot of time. I'll be what I want to be well before that. Oh yeah? Well, how much before that? 5 years? No problem. 3 years? Well, that's not enough time. 4 years? No. 5 years? Well, yes. Yes. 5 years is enough time. Why isn't 3 years enough time? I don't know. Find out. What beliefs would you have to have within you that say it would have to take 5 years and not 3? Go back into your internal dialogue. Find out what your definitions are. Discover what the definitions are that make it take 5 instead of 3 years. Change those definitions into what you prefer them to be. Just use your imagination. Rewrite it. See it in a book, the old definition if you want. Stamp it out, rip it up, tear it up, throw it away. Get a new page, write the new definition in, close the book. Any way your imagination feels most excited doing it. Whatever way you can, as you say, get into it most with all your senses, do it. If you have to chisel it into the side of a cliff, do that in your imagination. But somehow erase the old definition that you have discovered and replace it with the new definition. Once you have replaced the new definition, take the test over again. 10 years, yes, that was no problem before, it's still no problem. 5 years, absolutely. 5 years is more than enough time to be what I want to be. 3 years, with the new definition, I know that 3 years is more than enough time to be, easily enough time to be what excites me the most. 2 years, yes. 1 year, no problem. 6 months, well, maybe. All right. Do the process over and over and over again. Every time. The second, the moment you find at any level the slightest hesitation, that is the spot. That amount of time at that moment is exactly what it will take to be what you say excites you. Change it however you want to by redefining it and allowing it to take less time if you want to. Once you get it down to something you feel is truly comfortable, then leave it there and assume that is the answer. That's how long it will take. Absolutely. But bring up all the fears, bring up all the definitions, bring up all the doubts, process it, go through it, don't deny them. Denial is your single most critical factor for preventing what you want. Denial. Don't deny anything. Don't even deny the denial. Do not judge yourself. If you have judged, fine. Change your mind about doing it. And don't spend time judging yourself for having judged. It only adds more to the negativity. Be clear of intention. Be clear of your own purpose. Know that what you are doing out of integrity, out of love, out of service for everyone else. because as soon as you allow yourself to be the fullest possible being you can be, doing what excites you the most, which is after all your purpose in life, to be the fullest being you can be, then you are a fulfilled person that all other people can avail themselves of, can be served by, and then can serve you in turn. Only when you act in a complete manner do you connect yourself to everything and avail yourself of everything. Only when you support the whole can you be supported by the whole. So, use those tools, the 3 steps of imagination, as we discussed them, identification, and emotionality, and acting as, the mirror technique, and the threshold of believability. From all these different angles, if you use these tools, you will have a sharp, cutting edge, clarity, and precision, and awareness. And you will be the authors and the artists consciously of your reality. You already are the authors of your reality. You might as well be conscious of it, and you might as well have the reality you prefer, because you're going to create one anyway. Because you are a creator, because you were made that way. So you might as well have the one you prefer, knowing that the one you really prefer is the one that will be of best service to everyone else, because you fit. And it's no accident that you are where you are when you are there. Be a fully realized being in that moment, and you will be a connective link for everyone else. You all follow along? Very simple and very exciting, because it is so simple. Guaranteed. 100% there are no exceptions. Not you, not you, not you. No exemptions, as you say. The universe works the same way for everyone. What you put out, what you get back. It is completely unbiased. And it gives you what you say you want. Now, I have one more suggestion as a meditation on this particular subject of excitement and abundance. Remember that you already contain everything. Abundance is not an issue of getting what you don't have. It's an issue of understanding that you already contain it. Definition, another one, abundance, ... The ability to do what you want to do when you want to do it. It comes in any number of forms. Money is one way in your society. It doesn't exist in ours, but it's valid. But it isn't the only way. Sometimes someone will trade you. Sometimes someone will simply give you. Sometimes you will exchange in a various number of ways for something. If you insist that it must be represented by money, you are closing all the other doors through which abundance might come more easily. Let it take the path of least resistance by allowing all the ways it could come to be equal. Don't put such a heavy burden on it having to be one way, and you will allow it to come to you in whatever way is the quickest way. Because if you can still do what you want to do when you want to do it, you have all the abundance you need. Let it be that definition. Therefore, here is a tool. Now, some of you may find that you want to use this, some of you may find that you don't. It's a suggestion. It has had profound impact for some individuals. Some individuals find it scary, but that's all right. Examine why you find it scary, and you'll learn a lot about yourself in the process. And here it is. Whatever you do not specifically forbid will happen. See if that works for you. Some of you may say, all of it? Everything? What if I forget to forbid something? Assume that you will choose what you really prefer, and that anything else will simply not be capable of manifesting in your reality. But everything else will. Everything else will. The library analogy You can go into one of your libraries, and on the shelves there are many books. There are joyful books, delightful books. There are scary books. You can sit there in that library all day, all night. You can read every book on the shelf. You can be overjoyed at some stories, and you can scare yourself silly with other ones. The only stories you will take home with you is the ones you decide to check out on purpose. All the rest stay on the shelves. Just because you have thought about it doesn't mean it will manifest. If you don't give it the power by assuming it has the power on its own, it will not develop in your life until you choose it. Fearing something above and beyond anything else is giving it the power. Because you are saying, by your fear, that you believe that this is the most likely reality above and beyond all the realities, and that's what draws it in. Remember, we said the strongest emotion. Fear is an emotion. So, choose and understand that your choices stick. Why? Because you say so. It's that simple. It's that. And now, let us go a little bit beyond the idea of physiological reality so that you can incorporate the non-physical reality as well, so that you can blend an understanding of physical and non-physical reality into one experience that we will call dream time. We do not necessarily refer to the idea when you are asleep. We are talking about understanding that you are dreaming right now. Right now. You are dreaming right now. Yes, right now. You are literally dreaming right now. And all dreams, not always literally, sometimes symbolically, but nonetheless, all dreams are real experiences on a real level of reality. Sometimes you interpret them symbolically because that's the best your conscious mind can do with what it has to work with in physical language. So your dreams are not always literal, but they are always real experiences. And you are living a dream right now. The only major difference between what you call solid physical reality and ethereal, airy dreams is because you define this dream as being more solid than those. There is no difference other than that. That's why you can change physical reality so quickly, because it is only what you dream it to be. That's the power you have. That's all it takes, is the absolute conviction and the assumption that something is real, and it is so. Remember, every system of belief brings with it its own self-fulfilling structure to reinforce its validity so that that system, for that moment, seems to be the only valid one. Otherwise, if that were not so, you couldn't experience it as an isolated system. That's why you have all these wars upon your planet saying, this is the real belief, this is the real truth, mine works, that's why I know it's real, mine works, that's why I know it's real. They all work, they're all real, they're all true. When you believe in it, it reinforces its own validity and makes it seem as if it's the only one around, because that's the nature of focus. But anytime you change your focus, the new reality becomes just as valid, just as solid, just as immutable as the last one. They're all real. That's the act of creation. But let's look into a few more realities right now. Let's dissolve the barriers a little bit. Astral expansion. You know how many breaths to take. 3 big ones. Close your eyes if you wish. And take yourself back to your place of perfect peace, where, in all reality, you have never actually left. Remember, you are always at the center. You just change the way it looks. And now, the way this time your place of perfect peace will look is as follows. Our suggestion. Imagine yourself on a bright and beautiful day, or night, doesn't matter, sitting on a bench, a comfortable bench, on the side of a stream, on the side of a street, on the side of a path, doesn't matter. But across the stream, across the street, is a building, a structure of some sort. Has many windows. There are many people inside doing interesting, curious, fascinating things, discovering many things. Your curiosity is attracted to find out what's going on in that building, yet at the same time, you are so comfortable on the bench you don't want to move. How to solve this? Your imagination says, I have a way. And instantly in front of you materializes a telescope or a binoculars or a magnifying glass of some sort, so that when you hold it up to your eyes, lo and behold, it is as if you are in that building, in any room you want to be in. So close is the image in front of your eyes that it is as if you are truly there. You say, how wonderful, how marvelous, how clever. I can be on the bench where I want to be, and yet at the same time I can extend my senses into that building, my vision into that building through the use of this magnification glass. How wonderful. And just to be sure you're still on the bench, so real the image is in front of you, you lower the glass, and yes, there's the building over there. Here you are on the bench, just checking. Raising the glass again, you notice anything at all you want to notice. You are looking through the glass, and everything that you want to draw your attention to is as if it is inches in front of your eyes. Any person, any wall, you are like a spirit, like a specter, peering over their shoulders, looking at their books, looking at their machines, walking through doors, going upstairs, downstairs. You even discover that you can go through the walls, through the ceiling, through the floor. You can look at anything you want. And your fascination and your curiosity knows no bounds. And you go up and down and all over around, following people, watching them, listening to their conversation. You notice that your hearing is with you as well. And your vision is independent, anywhere you want it to be. And all of a sudden, something dawns upon you. And you decide that you will do a little experiment. And you take your vision, and you turn it 180 degrees around and look out the window of the building. And yes, lo and behold, there you are on the bench across the street, holding up the magnifying glass, but your vision is now over here in the building. And you realize with a snap that you are released from any prior conceptions, that your senses and your body must coexist in the same focus. You have begun now to realize that your consciousness is as a bubble that expands to any diameter, and as it expands, wherever the skin of that bubble is, that's where your consciousness is. That's the illusion of leaving your body. It is expanding the bubble of your consciousness so that your body is simply at the center. But anywhere on that skin, you can open an eye, open an ear. No matter what the diameter, you can be anywhere, anywhen. And with that realization, you snap back to your body, back to your focus, and you take down the glass, and you feel so invigorated, so different, so new. And all of a sudden, all the scenery around you undergoes a startling transformation. It is as if the building, the trees, the day, everything around you except for the bench and except for yourself begins to shimmer and waver like a mirage of heat, turning transparent, becoming illusionary, everything becoming ghost-like, wavering, illusionary. And all of a sudden you begin to see more and more objects around. They are also illusionary, wavering. But there are extra trees, extra buildings, extra people, all walking through each other. They are in different realities. You are looking through the veil of different probable realities, different futures, different paths. They're all overlapping here and now. They do not see each other, but you see them all. And they do not see you. They are living their own lives with their own focus, not necessarily knowing they can expand beyond to see the other reality. But you have broken through the veil. You see them all going about their business. Some of them even walk through you. You are a ghost, a specter to them, but you see them all. And all of a sudden, your attention is caught by something to one side, and something else over there, and again over there. And what you do is you focus a little bit here, a little bit there, and all of a sudden you realize what you're seeing is a person sitting on a bench, like you, there, and there, and there. Different people, different gender, different types, sitting on a bench, solid. They seem solid, not ghost-like like all the other people, and you realize why they are solid, because they are all the other versions of you in all those other lives that is realizing right now at the same moment you are in this one that you can see all the other reality. You are watching yourself, watching all that is. You are seeing the reflections in all the facets of the multidimensional crystal, all the reflections, all the versions, all the variations of the vibrational lives you are living simultaneously right now. And you nod, and they acknowledge with a return nod at the same time. And you realize at that moment that all of your lives, in all dimensions and all realities right now, in their own way, whatever way makes the best sense to them, are all realizing that you're all one being. You are all one being, manifesting in all the multidimensional simultaneous ways you can. You are everywhere, everywhere, in all possible configurations. Everyone is you. You are everyone. Everything is the same one thing, manifesting in all the ways it can, right now. With that realization, everything turns into one blinding white light, and then disappears. And you are floating in space. And you see an infinite number of sparkling stars. And you know each and every one of those is not so much a star, but a consciousness, a reflection of the light you are, for you are a star as well. An entire universe glowing. One of the many multiverse within all that is. Take 3 deep breaths and lock it in. You are infinite, you are eternal, you are made in the image of God. You are it, and it is you. Open your eyes. Once again, you are new beings at a new moment, the very first moment. Every moment, zero from the beginning. In any way and every way you prefer it to be. It is your choice. Use it. Watch your dream realities from this moment forward. You will find that your physical reality and your dream reality will begin to blend. Do not fear. You are not losing your identity, you are gaining it. Let the structure go. The structure exists within you anyway. Let it dissolve. You decide the reality that you are, and it is so. It is, always has been, and forever shall be that easy. 100%. At this timing, we extend to each and every one of you the opportunity for interaction in the format you would call sharing, or question and answer.
The first person was Jenny Raven, who put this exciting evening together for us. Thank her for that.
Before you begin, do remember that everything any of you have to say is a gift. So speak up and be bold and let all share, so that all may glean from what you have to say the things that are applicable in their own lives. Yes?
Greetings, Bashar.
And do you good day.
When we awaken from this dreamlike reality, to what will we awaken to?
The dream you wish to live. You will awake and live the dream you prefer to be. It is all a dream. It is all real. The idea of calling it a dream, the idea of calling it a reality are arbitrary and simplified definitions. They are simply labels. It is existence itself. You are life itself. Live and be the life you prefer to be. It will be what you wish it to be. You understand?
Yes.
Does that help you?
Yes, it does.
Is that sufficient?
Yes, it is.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sharing.
Bashar, I'm very glad that you're here. Thank you for sharing with us tonight.
We are very happy you are there. Thank you for sharing with us tonight.
I'm interested in hearing a little bit about how I integrate the things that
Institutional religion,
Yes.
which is,
going to church, enjoying that kind of worship,
yes,
and how those two things fit together comfortably.
well, they can very simply. Do you believe that you yourself, regardless of what ritual you surrounded with, and I do not mean that derogatorily, do you believe that you yourself are the primary relationship to the creation?
Yes.
Then it blends, does it not? Anything that you do in your institutionalized religion is simply whatever tool you feel is necessary to allow you to be in touch as the aspect of creation that you are. Sometimes it may change, sometimes it won't. All tools are valid. If you simply arrive at a moment where you feel that the tool you've been using no longer serves you, change it. It's that easy. You understand?
Yes, very clearly.
Does that help you?
Very much. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Sharing.
Hello, Bashar.
And do you good day.
I would like to hear a little bit about the changes that are going on in science now and how what they call the shift in the paradigm of science, how quickly that will be integrated into other aspects of our lives, or whether it will be.
Oh yes, as we perceive your energy now, it will be within what you would call the next 30 to 50 of your years maximum completely integrated. And the biggest shift that is now going on in what you call your physical sciences is the understanding, the recognition that physiological reality does not really empirically exist apart from what you define it to be. In other words, your scientists are beginning, slowly, perhaps at first, but beginning to understand that each and every one of you actually do create your own reality. You follow me? That will be integrated within what you call the next 30 to 50 of your years maximum as we perceive your energy now. Is that an answer to your question?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. Sharing.
Bashar, welcome to Columbia.
Well, I am not in Columbia, but I thank you anyway.
Bashar,
Yes.
I have a teenage daughter that I'm very concerned about.
Oh, concern.
I would like to be able to, I'd like to know what is the best way to help her. I have not been the type of role model for her that I would like to have been, and any suggestions you have would be
Well,
helpful.
first of all, may I ask you a personal question?
You may.
No, thank you very much. Do you understand that everyone chooses to be with whom they are with?
Yes,
Do you understand that you choose your children, that you choose your parents?
yes.
Then do you understand she chose